Okay, so now on to our next speaker, Kael Driscoll. Kael is a librarian at UWA, so University of Western Australia, working in the discovery team within collection and access services. Kael's main responsibilities lie with document delivery and ILL, unit readings and discovery services using ALMA, Primo VE and Leganto. So over to you, Rael, if you'd like to share and unmute.
Thanks, Stacey. Just getting myself organised here.
Yeah. I can see your screen.
Great. Let's just go presentation-wise. Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for attending, and it's quite exciting to be presenting this live all the way from Perth. As Stacey said, my name's Kael Driscoll. I'm a discovery librarian at UWA, and my session is titled Navigating the Maze of Article Discovery. So, as Stacey mentioned, I work in collection and access services here, and my portfolio includes working with Primo VE, which we call OneSearch. I work with ALMA resource sharing in all its different ways, also work with ALMA course reserves and Leganto, which we call unit readings. So I have quite a diverse portfolio to work with, which is always interesting. So just to go through the presentation outline quickly, what I've done is created a story in 6 chapters. So starting off with the idea of what could we do to improve article discovery for our users. Then that takes us to the maze, which is navigating the complexity of access issues that appear every day for all of us, and it will certainly be something that you will all find familiar. The quest, which was about taking thought to reality and creating the article discovery project itself. Then we have the map, which is finding our way through the maze of the project to improve article discovery, and actually what we did. Then we have the keys, which is what tools did we find to help unlock access for users. And at the end, the champions. So once the quest was over, who were the heroes of our tale? What did we find that was going to actually improve the situation? Just to give you a little bit of UWA context, many of you may be familiar with parts of UWA. It's situated on the land of the Whadjuk Noongar peoples, and I pay my respect to their elders past and present. It was founded in 1911. We have around 25,000 students and about 1,600 academic staff and over 2,200 professional staff. So it's a mid-sized university in the world context. With the UWA library, we're actually 6 libraries working together as one. So we have a number of different buildings, less than we used to have, that's for sure. We now have 14,700 visits per day on average. And in fact, today is quite busy on campus and in the library. So I do apologise for any background noise that you may be hearing. I've tried to find a quiet room, but it can be difficult when the library is very busy. We have around 3.4 million Primo searches a year, and that continues to rise. We have access to 1.3 million e-resources and over 1 million print volumes, many of which are actually off-site in storage now because the libraries are such a hub of student engagement and we need as much space as we can. So what was the idea for the project of improving article discovery? So really it came from in 2018 in December, we had a session where we decided to all make a 1-minute pitch about something we wanted to improve. And so the idea is, what is one thing you think collection and access services should do? My 1-minute idea was just a sentence. It was, I'd been using Copernio and I thought, well, let's promote Copernio as a browser extension to our staff and students as a way to improve access to full text articles. Then I had to actually think about, what did I really mean by that? It was fine just to say it as a sentence, but when I looked a bit closer, really it was about that finding articles can be like being lost in a maze. There's often loops and dead ends and confusion. And what I was seeing was that there seemed to be new tools appearing that were linking users with full text articles in new ways. And I wanted us to be agile enough to explore these technologies and recommend them to our users. So that leads me to the maze, and it's certainly a place that we have all been. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, and you will see that with this example, there are different dead ends that you will come across. So what I wanted to do is just give a quick live example of an article that we found in OneSearch. So if we're pretending we're an academic trying to find this article about mental illness stigma, we're good academics, so we go to the library first and we try it in OneSearch. And when we look to see, it seems to be peer reviewed, it's open access and it's available online. So we'll have a look and go, seems that Elsevier has access to it. And the page that we're looking for has not been found. So this is a little bit confusing, and also the academic may be wondering what's wrong with OneSearch. But let's say, for instance, they've been told by a colleague that they could actually find it through another source. So they decide to try Google and see what happens. And they can see that PubMed has access to it. So they go to PubMed, and they know that often PubMed only has abstracts, but they can see a little link here to access options. And it takes them back to OneSearch, and they try again, and they're in the same spot. They've gone to European Psychiatry, which was different before. They see access options, but really they're not seeing any PDFs here. Now, as you'll probably notice, this is a bit of a fake example because there are problems with this that are not solvable by any of the tools that I'm talking about, but really just wanted to, show that there are issues with going around in circles and trying to find certain articles. And it's something that we're all familiar with. Just close a couple of these down. So the question was, where do we go from here? So it was really about setting up the quest, going from the idea to the project. So we had a project timeline. The initial idea was in December 2018, and I pitched the idea in the end of year presentation session as just 1 minute, one sentence. Didn't really know exactly how it was going to work. In January 2019, what actually happened was the project was formally endorsed by the executive to be part of the library operational plan with the project team and project board. So suddenly it had grown from a small idea to actually something much larger. The idea was that in December 2019, we aimed to present recommendations to the project board and plan to implement from January to June 2020. So my original idea of being extremely quick and agile had changed somewhat, but once we started to look at it, we realized that it was a very interesting area, and maybe that just the idea of going with one particular service wasn't necessarily the best answer to the problem, and that we needed to do a lot more investigation. So first of all, we had to look back and really be clear on what did our users actually want in this space. And we knew that looking from feedback we'd received through in-sync surveys, suggestions, service desk tickets, and other means, that really the users had a number of issues. One was less clicks. So they really wanted to reduce the number of steps required to access full text within OneSearch. So they had reported frustration with the amount of times they had to click on links to actually get to the PDF itself. They wanted less barriers. So this was very much about the maze. They wanted to decrease the incidence of broken links, dead ends, and loops through different publisher sites, particularly when they weren't on campus. they wanted an increased presence of the library. So they wanted the library to be integrated into their preferred discovery spaces to provide clear links to subscribed resources, because not everyone was using OneSearch as their primary research tool. They wanted to know when the library had access to materials and when they didn't. And they also wanted confidence. So they wanted to be assured that they'll find what they need in a variety of online situations, regardless of how they had approached their initial searching. So as we started to look at the project, we realized that there were two main paths that we wanted to explore. And they were actually separate when we started out. So we had direct linking, which was we wanted full text access in Primo with less clicks. And we had browser extensions, where the original idea had come from, which were tools for the use of users at the point of need. So things that would actually link them to full text. So from here, we had to create the map. We had to actually navigate the maze of the project itself. And it did become quite complex. So the article discovery project ended up getting broken down into four main areas, which really worked out to be the four main products of the project. So the first of all, we had to scan the field and do a clear environmental scan, finding all the potential tools and services in this rapidly changing environment. And we had to investigate the viability of them all to see what was going to really be the best options available. From there, we had to categorize and select the correct ones. So we arranged them according to type, functionality, integrations, and cost. From there, we had to decide which products were actually worth pursuing further within the project. Then we had the exploring and testing section. So we had to set up product trials, do technical testing with integrations, and we did UX testing with library staff and library users as well. So this was a very important part of the project to make sure that our choices were correct. And then we had to choose and implement. So really it came down to recommending the best options, making a business case for the budget if we had to actually pay for something, and liaise with the vendors about implementation. So the environmental scan actually took a lot longer than we thought. And one of the reasons for this was because it was such a moving area. It was quite new. It hadn't been explored by us in any detail before. And so really what we ended up with was three areas rather than the initial two that we thought of. So we had direct linking and we looked at two options. We had browser extensions and there were 5 options that we considered. And then we kind of were looking at hybrid tools, which seemed to have parts of direct linking and browser extensions in their functionality. And there was 3 that we looked at there. So it was quite a difficult area to keep track of for quite a while because there was a lot of change within a very short space of time with these products. It was very rapidly changing. And so what we had was during that period that we were looking at them, we had new products appear. So there was new vendors came on the market and there was mergers or takeovers between certain products and companies. There was new features appearing, which were changing the options and the functionalities for all these different types of product. And in some cases, the features actually reduced. So with some of the ones that we originally looked at and thought these will be really suitable, functionality changed and all of a sudden we realized they weren't viable. There was also some unknown quantities in there with vaporware and a lack of documentation for certain products that we had heard about, but really couldn't find any information that was useful to us. So it comes down to the keys. What were the outcomes of our exploration? So once we'd done all this and looked at the environmental scan and done all the different work that we needed to do through the project, we really came down to 2 main recommendations. On one hand, we had Third Iron with the Browsine and Libkey products. And on the other hand, we had really solidified the use of Google Scholar and had found that the Google Scholar button was a really useful tool and something that we wanted to promote among staff and students. And we knew they were already in the Google Scholar space, and the button as a browser extension was an excellent tool, we felt. We also came up with the idea of Third Iron having Libkey Nomad. So this was one of the ones where we didn't originally have this when we were looking at the environmental scan. It kind of came through looking at browsing and Libkey in the direct linking space. And Libkey Nomad became one of these areas that helped link people to the full text. And so as that came on board, we explored that more. And it really became a later recommendation, but something that we have recommended as well to our staff and students. So as we neared the end of the quest and we came towards the champions, we really needed to decide, well, if we are going to get these tools, how are we going to use them and promote them? And what are those tools and how do we define them for our staff and students? And why are we using them? So with Libkey, what we ended up deciding here was that it was really the strength of the whole suite of products and services and the way that they were. So all based on a browsing technology, which was their first product. But then we had Libkey Discovery, Libkey Link, and Libkey Nomad, and each of those does a different service within the different areas that we are looking at in resource discovery and article linking. So once we realized that all of those integrated with Primo and with our other spaces, it became really clear that this was a very powerful tool. So when we looked at the Libkey functionality in more detail, what we realized was that we had a number of different options, a number of different options here that really did bring it all together. So one of the major factors was the DOI matching that Libkey employs. So rather than using link resolver metadata strings, Libkey uses the DOI as the match point to increase accuracy and improve reliability. So this has been really very clear in our Primo holdings and something that has been extremely popular. Part of the popularity is also that because we upload our library holdings, it means our subscriptions and platforms are held by Libkey and they can cross-check and decide on the best source for delivering the full text directly. So this has been really great for resources where we hold it in a number of different databases because Libkey is able to preference publisher site, for example, over an aggregator site. And often that gives a lot more reliability in terms of access to the article. There's also the full integration factor. So Libkey Discovery creates links to PDFs in Primo. Libkey Link integrates with native databases to show PDFs. And Libkey Nomad provides point of need access to PDFs. So these three areas really give a full 360 access to everything that you need. And I will do a little bit of a live demonstration towards the end. I'm just kind of looking at how much time I'll have left, but I'll definitely show you how that works within our environment. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what's happened since we installed Libkey here. So the full text direct downloads via Libkey Discovery, which is the direct linking that appears within Primo. From March to July, we had nearly 218,000 full text direct downloads, which averaged out to about 1,450 per day. During the main teaching period, which was when semester was in full swing, we had an average per day of 1,800 or more. So it is extremely popular and extremely seamless, I think was the main thing that we really found, because it reduced the number of service desk tickets for access to full text. And also we didn't get any questions about how to use Libkey, the link just appears there and is integrated so clearly within your Primo result that it really makes it obvious to the students and the users what they need to do to get to the full text. And in a way, it's a real case of no news is good news. If they were accessing the full text in these numbers with no queries, then we know that it's doing its job. Just looking at Google Scholar as well. So this was the other recommendation. And really there is quite an amazing search power there. It's a very popular research space for users. We knew that. What we wanted to do is to be able to link to UWA resources, which we've been able to facilitate. It still has the ability to find articles that others don't. And I'm still quite amazed by this, particularly for when we're doing resource sharing, document delivery, interlibrary loans. We always check Google Scholar to make sure that there isn't a way to get to the article that we haven't been able to find through Primo or another source. And now that we have Libkey integration, in many cases, we can actually get directly to the PDF or to the article through Google Scholar, linking to Libkey and then through UWA as well. So it's becoming a much more powerful tool. And with the Google Scholar button in the browser, it's really helping integrate everything together into one place for users when they are doing their research. So essentially what we ended up with was Libkey integrations with Primo VE, with Google Scholar, and also with native database interfaces, which is very, very useful. So what I wanted to do at this point was just do another little quick live demonstration of how some of these things work so you can see them clearly. Just get my browser going here. So, for example, if we do a Google Scholar search here, just move me out of the way. So this is using the Google Scholar button from the browser. So you can see here some results. The paradoxes of time travel here comes up first. And you can see now that we have Find It at UWA is appearing because we have associated Google Scholar with UWA and each user is able to do this themselves. So because this is quite an old article and there isn't actually a DOI, if I click on the Find It at UWA, it will direct back to OneSearch in this case. So it's not going to go directly to the article. But we do have the option to click on the PDF option for JSTOR, and that will open JSTOR there. So it knows that UWA has access to that. Now, if I pull that up again, so there's also a second one here, Evolutionary Economics of Mental Time Travel. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like when we actually do select PDF through the Find It UWA here. Let's just do this. So you can see it invokes Libkey. And what we actually get is an interim page here where it clearly shows that there's access provided by UWA, and you can download the PDF or the article link from here. So the PDF will go straight to the PDF. The article link will actually, I'll show you that in a minute, and there is the option here to view article in context, which is the browsing part. And what that actually does is shows you the article in the issue with the other articles around it. So it can be a really great way to get into the material within the journal itself. So you can see here it's now within the context of the journal and there's still all the links for PDFs. So I know I'm rushing through these fairly quickly, but I'll just give you another example. And if we go directly to Science Direct here, just wanted to show you this one. You can actually see it takes you to the screen here, and Libkey Nomad comes up and says, do you want to download? But to those, and of course, because I'm off campus at the moment, because I'm in a different room and not plugged into the network, it will then ask me to log in, and we access it. So you can see how that's really useful for people who are working off campus. It did all the work for them and took them to the article. Now, very quickly, I just wanted to show you what it looks like here within OneSearch, our Primo VE. So I'm doing the quick search here, and you can see here for this article, you get the link to download PDF straight away. And if we have a bit of a look through this list, you can see that many of them have download PDF or read articles. So download PDF will go directly to the PDF, and read the article will take you to the page where you can usually then download the PDF from the native interface. Okay, I'm just going to go back here. Just going to finish off here. Right, so the path through the maze was that we have less clicks. So Libkey Discovery links directly to PDFs from OneSearch. We have a brief results page, and also in Leganto, which is really great. There's less barriers, so we have broken link reports have reduced, and users don't need to sign in as often when navigating resources. There's an increased presence. So Libkey Link has replaced Find It in the databases, and Libkey Nomad connects users to own content. And confidence. So what we'll really be looking for is a change in the satisfaction with OneSearch and access to online resources in our next user survey. That'll be the real test. Just wanted to give thanks to Roger C. Schoenfeld for dismantling the stumbling blocks. That was something that I watched, and he talked about the loops that you get stuck in. That was very inspirational. And Aaron Tay, Musings About Librarianship blog, was looking at Access Broker browser extensions at the same time, and he was a very useful resource. Thank you to those two. Very quick thanks to the project team, Erin Montague, Catherine O'Brien and Kirsty Nicholson, and thanks to Ken Barch, third mate as well, who were very helpful through the whole process. There's my contact email if you want to get in touch with me at any time. So I know I've run a little bit over time, but I think we've got a couple of minutes for questions. If we do have any questions there, I'll hand back to you, Stacey.
Yeah, thanks. That was awesome. It really is our bread and butter, isn't it? Can a user find the thing, and then can a user get the thing? And so
Most definitely,
these sorts of explorations, there's so many options out there. I agree with you. So good on you for going down the rabbit hole.
No worries. There's a lot more.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your results for your next user survey. That would be fascinating.
Definitely.
Yeah, we do have some questions here. Lachlan has asked, how do you promote the browser extensions to your patrons?
That's a really good question, and one we're only just embarking on. Really, the promotion got quite heavily waylaid, obviously, by COVID-19. We did have plans to do a lot more in person, but at the moment we're just promoting it through newsletters and through like faculty meetings. We've put it up on slides, public slides within the library. So we have screens, obviously, where people see different things that the library is promoting. But I think we're going to have to revisit it and look next year at a larger promotional kind of scheme to work out how to do it. We have placed it on our websites and put it within guides, but yes, definitely the browser extension part has not been promoted as much as the other parts of the system. Libkey Nomad, we need to do more promotion on for sure, because we know that lots of people are already in the Google Scholar space. But yeah, Libkey Nomad is we'll focus on that for next year, I think, in terms of promotion.
Right. Okay, we do have a couple more questions, but we're right on time. So I think it might be good to send those along to you. after the fact, and then perhaps we can put the answers up on
Yeah,
our
definitely.
ANZREG,
Sorry.
or like send them. No, it was fascinating. I'm glad that you went. I loved your story as well, how
thank you.
you spaced that. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, and we'll make sure that we send these questions along to you, and we can post the answers to the listserv as well. So
yeah, definitely. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thank you.